an inside spot. And a really nice job by the kick team to get down there and make sure they limit that return. Caught in the backfield, it's Bauman. And just a short, safe pass play. They pick up a few. Let's take a minute and talk about Miami. Really interesting matchup here. It's always fun when the top two teams in the conference get to square off in the regular season. With all the expansion, it's become a little bit of a rarity, hasn't it?
It has. Obviously, there's so many teams in each conference, but head-to-head still very much matters. So if you're sitting, obviously, at the top like these teams are, then head-to-head this day will really matter down the road.
Yeah, this was a game we circled way back in the preseason, expecting these two teams to be as good as they are, and now we get to find out who's the best in conference. Both these teams relishing this opportunity to show not only their opponent, but the rest of the conference who the top dog is.
They'll try to run for it. He's loose down the middle. There he goes. 30. Running inside the 20. And he slipped through the crowd, and he'll house it. Touchdown, Kane.
Yeah, these offensive coordinators tell you they want to start fast and they want to establish the run game. That is exactly what you did. First drive, you hand the football off, making the big explosive run, setting the tone for this football game.
And with the extra point, they get the first 7 of the game. Quick strike offense on that 3-play scoring drive. And the final touch, courtesy of that 76-yard sprint to the house. Looking for those open spaces and opportunity. Nice job executing all of the assignments as they put a stop to that return at the 22. Scanning the field, it's Nussmeier. Oh, they're after him. And as he throws, incomplete. He had to get rid of it before he wanted to. The defense put the heat on.
I don't care how talented you are as a quarterback, your accuracy always goes down when you get hit. Nice job by the QB scrambling, working to his right, but he wasn't completing that pass with that pressure.
Second down, they'll go to the air. Grab behind the line. It's Durham. Didn't pick up a lot there, moving forward just a few.
Well, your opponent scored on their opening drive, so obviously no need to panic. But I know, having been in this situation as a quarterback, you want to answer right away. So really good to see him making some nice throws here on their...
Oh, he's going to try to hit him over the top. He's got it inside the 30. Touchdown, Tigers! He found some open space and turned on the Jets.
Well, as a defense, you know you're going to see the go-route, especially against this guy. He does it to defenses, it seems, every single week, and so they're not able to get back deep enough. They get run by, he makes the catch, and then runs it into the end zone. They're going to have to change up their coverage and get some safety help up over the top, because this guy's speed is a problem.
Quick timeout by the defense here, trying to make sure everyone has the same call. Setting up for the extra point and the top. And right down the middle. Quick strike offense on that 3-play scoring drive. They're coming out to tee it up for the kickoff, and that last score was a real buzzkill for this crowd. From inside his own 10, let's see what he gets. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. A little bit backed up to start this drive from their own 18-yard line. Looking downfield, it's Beck. Catch in the middle, it's Bauman. And a good job of coverage by that defense, just a short pickup.
You know, I know it seems like an easy pitch and catch, but for the tight end there, that route potentially changes if it's man coverage. So good job by him knowing it's zone. I'm just going to sit down. This is basically like a check down, right? Let's just take the easy pitch and catch and keep this drive going.
Back to pass on second down. How about that play to get a hand in there and force the incompletion?
Yeah, and a really good job by the defender understanding the ball's coming. I got to break on it and go, and not try to intercept it and make a bad play. He swats it down and makes sure that's an incompletion.
Trying to move the sticks on third down through the air. Makes the catch. It's Daniels. Now they've got even more breathing room out to the 31 and a fresh set of downs. And the Canes with the 1st and 10. They'll go to the ground. He is going nowhere. Stop at the line of scrimmage.
And that seemed a little off from the start, didn't it?
That was a big-time play, and it was off from the start because of the play he made.
And I don't think it would have mattered who was playing running back. There was absolutely nowhere to go.
He lobs one high down the left side. It's picked off, and they ruin the drive with a turnover.
Sometimes the quarterback puts that zip on it, and you can hear it. And sometimes he uses the lob wedge where it takes a little time to get there. That time, he used the lob wedge, and the defender came in and made the interception. Big play for this defense early.
They'll get things started on this drive from the 24. Takes the handoff. It's Durham. Crosses the 30 to the 31 and a 6-yard pickup.
Well, it's plays like that that'll help this offense stay in rhythm all game long. If you can have that kind of success on first down running the football, it just opens up your entire playbook moving forward.
Touch pass on the jet sweep. Across the 45. Just what they needed, an explosive play in the running game, and they're out to the 49-yard line before he goes out of bounds. It'll be a first down from the 49-yard line. Handoff to the lone back. They make the tackle at the 36, but they're in plus territory now with the 15-yard pickup.
That's a really nice run. One thing I love about him is he's got versatility. He reminds me of a guy I used to play against back in the day, Kevin Fall. He could catch the ball, he could run the ball, he could block, he returned kicks. He did everything for the LSU Tigers, and this guy, he's got that ability too. So many different tools in his toolbox.
The Tigers have put themselves in dire straits after that last play at 2nd and a mile. To throw, it's Nussmeier. It's picked off. Don't see that very often from this Heisman Trophy candidate. Going the other way, and he's got room. Touchdown, Miami! The defense does the work itself with a pick six. Just one moment, and all of a sudden, the fortunes turn.
You're in a position where you're about to give up points. And now you flip that around and you put points on the board. Perfectly executed. What are you doing in interception? First guy blocks the intended receiver. Everybody else starts to form a wall with the ball's going. Nice blocking, nice interception, nice return for the touchdown.
Here he comes from inside his own 5. Excellent job by the kick coverage team. A pretty minimal gain on that return. His drive will open from the 15. Touch pass on the jet sweep. Brought down at the 25 after he picked up 10. They moved the chains on the ground last time. Let's see if they try to hit him up top. Power football with the run. Surges across the 30, out to the 32, a 6-yard run.
It's got to feel good as an offense knowing that early in the drive you can turn around, hand it off, get a push up front, and go get positive yardage.
Right back to him on the ground. Crosses the 45. He's loose. Hits him with a stiff arm. He rolls all the way down the 5-yard line before they finally get him stopped.
This guy strikes fears into the hearts of every defensive coordinator, David, with that speed. If you give this guy any open grass, man, he's gone.
It's just silly. Look at the angles, people trying to catch him, but he's got so much juice. He can outrun those angles and make enormous plays.
He steps and powers and works his way. They finally get him down at the 2. He'll be stopped for no gain, still sitting at the 3-yard line.
And with the stuff there, Jesse, on second down, this little third to mid-range, you got 2 downs. What are you thinking here?
Maybe getting your quarterback out on the perimeter and giving him a run-pass option. See if you can get the defense in a bind.
They'll go with a direct snap. And he takes it in for the score. Touchdown, Tiger. Extra point here will tie the game. And these guys just score from anywhere out there. After that drive, it sure looks that way.
And that's what separates really good offenses from great offenses. When you're backed up in a bad position and you can still fight your way out and go get you a touchdown, that's a great drive by the offense.
He'll bring it back from inside his 5. Put a drive together, starting from their own 12. Defense trying to keep this offense from getting a line on who to block. Under fire. Can't make the connection, and the defense putting on the heat and forcing the incompletion.
I don't know about the decision that time by the quarterback. He may have been expecting man coverage, but that time the defense was in zone, and they did a really nice job closing the window. The intended target was not open, and that's why that one fell incomplete.
They'll go to the toss. Not much there. They'll give him 1 to the 14.
Man, it's really hard to control the running game if you don't control the line of scrimmage. And how about the defensive line doing a great job attacking those guys up front, not open up lanes to run through. Nice job just nullifying that run altogether.
Here on 3rd down for this offense. The inside handoff. Absolutely nowhere to go as this defense makes a 3rd down stop. And the Canes decide to punt it away. They'll boot it away for the first time tonight. Really good job by the coverage team to make the stop, and that's where they'll put it in play. LSU will dive into the playbook here on offense. That running game was impressive, taking them right down for a touchdown last time, David.
Yeah, just mauling. No secret play calls, just simply we are more physical than you, and we're pounding the football right at you.
So if you're on offense this next drive, take a look at their safeties and see if they're creeping up into the box. Because of your success running the football, this might be time to take a shot down the field.
Let's it fly deep downfield. Touchdown, Bayou Bengals. They went for it all, and it paid off with the score.
This offense is really dangerous because of the weapons they have on the perimeter of the field. And you're seeing they go to these guys early, and they try to give them opportunities in one-on-one situations and vertically down the field. 2 passing touchdowns now early for this offense.
On the move from inside his 5. Nice job executing all of the assignments as they put a stop to that return at the 22. First play of the drive comes from the 22. Wide receiver comes in motion. Using the back as a receiver on the screen.
Love the execution there in the screen. The running back shows pass protect, last second turns around, so he's able to get the ball. The D linemen have already run past him. Now he can turn upfield for a big gainer.
And the Hurricanes with a 2nd and short to keep this drive moving. Going with the ground game left. Turning it on! And he'll pick up the 1st down, but he got drilled on that tackle.
That's a nice-looking run, man, and what a legacy here when you think about Edgerrin James and Frank Gore, Willis McGahee, Clint Portis, game breakers at the running back position. This guy, he seems like he's destined to play on Sunday.
It's incomplete and maybe a little too aggressive from this senior trying to fit that one in there.
Tell you what, that was a lightning-fast decision. You could tell he knew what he wanted to do right away. Makes the decision, but maybe his footwork wasn't a little bit good, and the pass wasn't where he wanted to put that thing. I know that.
Plenty of distance between them and the sticks here on second down. Rushes on him. He's going to let one fly down the middle. He's got it on the outside. Touchdown, Hurricane! He broke away from the defense, and they couldn't catch him. Extra point here would tie the game.
One of the reasons this offense is so exciting to watch, they've got guys that are dangerous after the catch. If this quarterback gets through his progression, David, gets you in stride, these guys will take it to the house.
Man, it's your job to do the rest, right? You hit me in stride where I don't have to stop running. I don't have to break down. It makes it so easy. The connection between quarterback, wide receiver, you can tell this is a good one, and that's why they got 6 on that play.
We'll see what they can do on this drive that starts at the 16-yard line. Touch pass on the run. And the defense holds firm. No pickup at all on that play. Oh, they dial up on second and a long way to go. Now the play fake. Looking for a deep man. Holds it in down the sideline. Creates a little space. Touchdown LSU! He got loose and it was lights out after that.
Well, they worked the play action, and he had his guy outside one-on-one on the go route, and there was no question who's going to be getting the football on this one. Phenomenal job stacking the defender on the route. He gets in behind him, able to make the catch way down the field, and then run it in for the touchdown.
And he takes this from inside the 5. And the returner runs out of real estate as he goes down. First play of this drive comes from the 14-yard line. Fired that thing out in a heartbeat, but it's incomplete.
Well, this defense knew coming in they were going to see some RPO, and they were going to see some quick game. A nice job there taking the throw away from the quarterback.
Looking to throw, it's back. He's going to let one fly down the middle. Intercepted. A first-half turnover can swing momentum. They get him on the ground after the turnover, but there is a flag on the field, and we'll see if that will be a reprieve for this offense. As a defense, you hate to let them move the chains on a penalty, but that's what they did. It's 1st and 10. Unloads to the wideout. Wide open downfield. They make the stop, but the sweet throw and catch is plenty to give them a first down. That kind of play is just vintage Hurricane receiver play.
I mean, big-time playmakers on the outside. The list is long for Miami, but finding those elite speedsters down in the state of Florida, it's not a hard job.
Give to the single back. And he was fortunate not to lose yardage on that play, able to wedge it back to the line of scrimmage.
It's hard to run on a defense that comes off the ball like that and runs to the football like that. Good luck. No holes anywhere.
They'll run it out of the shotgun. And he throws hands with that strong, stiff arm, but still not a lot of running room there. Ball's at the 47. They're looking at a 3rd down and short. Looking for room. It's Fletcher. Got the first down and more. They finally get him stopped, and this veteran junior running back comes up with a nice play.
I love teams that make it a priority to run the football, and they have today. Another good run by this running back. He's been doing it all night, over 100 yards on the day. Really, really good night for this young man.
The Hurricanes are rolling down the field. Showing the arm strength to the left. And it slips through his fingers, incomplete. That would have been a huge gain if he could have squeezed it.
Hey, listen, quarterback didn't get the completion on that throw, but that doesn't mean you can't try again. Trusting your playmakers outside to push the field and stretch it vertically and make a play for you.
Picked off, and they ruin an early drive with the turnover. capitalize not only on the pick, but the great return to give the offense tremendous field position. They'll snap it from the 37 for the first play of this drive. Sends it back in motion. Try to get it to the edge. Bringing it back. Still on his feet. Ripping through the defense and getting it all the way down to the 24-yard line. They'll take this lead to the 2-minute timeout and see if they can tack on a little more before the break. And the Tigers just got that huge run. They love another explosive play. Motion from the wideout. Quick touch pass to the receiver. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that. They're dealing with a second and long. Back to throw, it's Nussmeier. Good timing on the quick out. That one takes it down to the 13-yard line.
Well, this defense is being challenged, and this secondary in particular. And I know a DB made the tackle there, but we're only in the second quarter, and already this quarterback has over 200 yards passing.
The Tigers getting set on 1st and 10. They're looking to pass from the red zone. Quickly out on the screen to the wide receiver. And this one will be stopped for no gain.
Really good defense. You know, you're trying to stay as close as you can to all these targets, and most importantly, those open field tackles. If you get them on the ground as soon as they catch it, that's a major deal for defenses, and that was a good example there of it.
Got some room, entered to the goal line. And he'll race it to the house. Touchdown, LSU!
And this offense has started the season off so good. 1-0 a week ago, right? Now building on it again. Great job putting points on the board. It's still the first half, but this unit looks dialed in.
On the run from inside his own 5. Nice job executing all of the assignments as they put a stop to that return at the 22. Time left in the half here as they take over, but they will want to be efficient here in the final 2 minutes. They'll send the back in motion. Starts a drive trying to go up top. Snagged in the middle. It's Lofton. And they pick up a better than 30 yards on that completion before the defense brings him down. The Canes will hustle to the line. They'll try the run. Oh, he's getting ahead of steam. They finally get him stopped, and this veteran junior running back comes up with a nice play. It's now 1st and 10 from the 24-yard line. Back to pass, it's back. And that incomplete pass caused by the big hit on 1st down, 2nd down coming.
Well, this offense has gone his way early and often in this game. They've gotten into a nice rhythm. That time, though, the defense was expecting the throw going his way, and they put a really nice hit on him to force the incompletion.
This time, it's complete. They'll spot the ball at the 12 after that completion. Clock stops momentarily for the 1st down. They'll hurry to the line. Looking for a gap. It's Fletcher. And he is just engulfed at the line by this giant defensive tackle. There's a timeout on the field. Tight game here late in the 1st half. Going to work on 2nd down in the red zone, and still some ground to cover to pick up that 1st down. Got rid of it in a hurry, but he couldn't find his man. It's incomplete.
It's a nice job by the quarterback getting the ball out of his hands quickly on that RPO. He saw something he liked, just not on the same page with his receiver.
On 3rd down, he'll try to pick it up through the air. Quickly complete. He'll be stopped about 2 yards short of a 1st down. Man, you have to do everything in your power not to let your momentum carry you out of bounds short of the 1st down marker.
And I would argue, too, maybe you run your route a little bit deeper. You got to understand where the 1st down marker is and where I got to get to. But yeah, I'm not running out of bounds. I'm lowering my shoulder and trying.
Throw into the end zone, and it's picked off. And they get the takeaway and prevent points from going up just before the end of the half.
That is one the quarterback is going to want to have back. It's touchdowns or it's checkdowns once you get down to the red zone. You can't get too aggressive and greedy trying to fit the football into small windows, and as a result, QB throws a pick.
They'll move the wide receiver. Back to throw, it's Nussmeier. Going deep. Intercepted. A first half turnover can swing momentum. And they make the play and make sure there's not any scoring opportunity right here before the end of the half. Waning seconds of the first half, let's see just how aggressive they'll be. Looking downfield on first down. He fires one deep over the middle.
That's one thing about this defense. They've got some dudes in the back end that can cover, and they can hang with some of these intended targets. Nice job swatting that one away.
Just enough time to get off one final play of the half. Second and 10, he'll throw again. That one comes out hot down the right side. And man, oh man, he is in the dark tonight. His fourth interception. And the defender is tackled, and that's how we'll run out the first half. That's the end of the second quarter. That means it's time to join Kevin in our halftime update. We're just about ready to start the second half. And he'll return it and try to get behind his blocker. He was hoping for something a little more dynamic, but they get him on the ground at the 20. Snap it from the 20 for the opening play of this drive. They'll start this drive going to the air. Flips it out on the screen. And how about the efficiency on that one? It'll bring up second and 4.
I'll tell you what, if you want to be overzealous, if you want to be a blitzer all the time, I like running the screen right behind him. Did a great job throwing the screen. Almost broke this one for a long game, but it just keeps the defense a little bit more honest if you want to start bringing a lot of pressure.
They'll leave it with him.
And when you go into the half and you're down, like that speech is usually pretty fiery. A lot of words you can't use on television. And so this coaching staff probably challenged their guys, and I like the way they started this second half so far. Physically, flying around, doing a great job stopping the run. They got to play like this the rest of the game.
And the Heat will get home, and the quarterback goes down at the 17.
You have to wonder if going in at halftime in the locker room just slowed down the momentum a little bit for this offense. They had it going so well in the first half. They were up and down the field, lighting up the scoreboard, scoring points. But here we go. First drive of the second half, and they run into a wall getting sacked on the third play of the drive. They're going to have to pick it up here in the second half.
So first play of the drive coming here from their own 49. From the gun, the running back tries to hit the hole. And he has a solid gain before the defense bottles him up.
Really nice play call by the offense, too. Obviously, your quarterback's thrown picks on his last two drives, so you have to settle him down. And the best way to settle down a quarterback is to get the running game going. Put it on the big fellas up front. Put it on your backs. That's a really nice run, and that should help settle the QB down a bit.
And that run really didn't go anywhere. And a lot of times we don't focus on it enough. But how important those five guys are up front. To get on those defensive linemen, to try to move them out of the way, to get a run game going. It squarely falls on the shoulder of those five offensive linemen.
He gets the job done on third down. They move the chains. It's at the 37. And the Canes will line it up on first and 10. He leaves it with the back. Pick up half of it. It'll be second and 5.
And I kind of like how the running back didn't mess around. Like, just get downhill when you see an opening. A lot of times they close so fast, man. Be decisive. Stick your foot in the ground. Pick up 3 to 4, and we are not going to complain.
Dropping back. It's back. And the pass is incomplete. Jarred loose by the hit.
Well, this has been a day to forget if you're this quarterback. And I got to be honest, guys, I'm surprised he's still even in the game right now because he's had zero rhythm. He hasn't been accurate. He's thrown a ton of interceptions. Most coaches would have pulled their guy by now. I know the guy I played for back in college, he would have pulled me about 2 interceptions ago.
And the Canes are moving quickly down the field. From the red zone, looking for a man. And that is his 5th interception, a nightmare he is not waking up from. Picked up a few extra on that return, but what a play by this defense to get the football. They'll snap it from the 10 for the first play of this drive. Looking for room, it's Durham. At the 20, he's got space. There he goes. He's inside the 40. At the 20. Touchdown, Tiger. Once he got a step, it was all over right to the house.
David, this guy's showing us everything he's got in his toolbox between the tackles.
It's a fake, and the kicker's going to throw it. They're getting set to kick it away, and that last score took a little oomph out of this crowd. He'll start the return inside his 5. Nice job by the kickoff team. Everybody stayed in their lanes, and they'll stop him at the 16. Here comes the Hurricane offense looking to gather a little more strength. That last drive was promising for a while, but you just can't mess it up at the end with the pick, Jesse.
No, you got to be able to finish drives, especially in this game if you're going to win. And, David, they've got to be able to eliminate the mental mistakes.
Yeah, and I don't think you get conservative or play it safe. You can trust your guy. I think you put the ball right back in his hands and let him do his thing.
Offense has it at the 28 on first down. Looking to throw, it's back. He lets it fly. And they can't make the connection, going for a big play on first down.
The defense is in great position right now because they've got a huge lead here in the 4th quarter. They know the offense has to take shots to try to get themselves back in the game. So they're calling their coverages accordingly, and there was nowhere to go with that football. Really nice job by the defense being in position to force the incompletion.
Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. To the air on first down. Release to the back. Grabbed in the middle. It's Fletcher. Boy, did he look as if he was going to go. Gets it down to the 37. And the Hurricanes headed quickly to the line. Hitting on transfer portal quarterbacks can be tricky. Certainly Miami did so with Cam Ward a season ago. And Jesse, they're hoping to keep it going with Carson Beck.
They want the Carson Beck version from 2023. At the end of that season, after winning the Orange Bowl, a lot of people thought Carson Beck would end up being the first pick of the NFL draft. 2024 was a bit more up and down. They need him to play well each and every week. He's playing, remember, behind Cam Ward. He's got a very, very big shoes to fill, but no doubt he is the key for Miami's success.
And if this offense wants to get back in this football game, I think they're going to see a lot of this. Defense playing a little bit more zone, conservative, great eyes on the quarterback, breaking on the football, batting the ball down. They're going to force you to throw the football down the field.
The give on the inside. Powers through the defender. He's going to come up about 5 yards short of the line to gain. A famous writer once said, most men lead lives of quiet desperation. Here is a desperate move. Going for it on fourth down, trailing by double. Big tight end makes the grab, first down, still on his feet. And he makes a completion. They're set up and in business at the 20. The Hurricanes have pushed it inside the 20. And he dropped it, just didn't look the thing all the way in.
Well, you can see the frustration on this guy's face. He's one of the best receivers in college football, and they knew coming into this game that he had to get touches, but you can't say enough about how good this defense has been defending him. They've always had an answer, whether it's single coverage, double coverage, man or zone. They have not let him go off, and that's a big reason why they're winning this game.
First and goal, and a great opportunity to slice into this lead. Trying to barge in. Into the end zone he goes.
this area of the field, he can get it done, and he can answer the bell. 2 rushing touchdowns already for this offense.
We check in with Kevin Connors. What's going on, Kevin?
Dynamite matchup this week, fellas. Let's show you what's going down. Mississippi State is putting on a show offensively. It feels like they've been ringing those cowbells all game. They're up by 28 over the Stallions. We'll circle back. If anything big happens, you should know about it.
Oh, and how about that? I know Kevin and those guys will be keeping an eye on it for us. Off the play fake on first down to throw. That's caught. It's Durham. And good coverage by the defense, just a short gain.
What's important in this game, this offense gets the running back involved out on the perimeter in space where you can do some damage. That time they got it to him throwing the football. Picked up a couple of yards, but it gives the defense something to think about.
Behind the chains now on 2nd and long. Motion from the wide receiver. Fires to the middle. I don't think that's the way they drew it up. Incomplete. The quarterback rode that RPO for a while, trying to make sure the defenders were wrong, and he took a big shot. He couldn't quite connect.
And those RPOs make you wrong defensively regardless. Do I come up really fast and play the run, or do I stay back? Great job behind.
Turning on the Jets. It's a seam wide open. The 20. And the catch and run into the end zone. Touchdown, Tigers. When that receiver got free, it was all over.
And it's so nice to have a receiver like this as a quarterback because you pad my stats. I like those long touchdown passes where I just threw it really short and he did the rest of the work.
Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. Fielded in the end zone. It's Marion. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. They'll start this drive from the 18-yard line. To the ground with the back. Just gets it to the 28, pickup of 1.
It's definitely too early to panic, but there's some bad feelings going on for this offense right now. You're way down on the scoreboard. I know we're still in the first half, but after that last play, it's pretty obvious. You can't run the ball. You're becoming a one-dimensional offense at a time when you need to be able to score some points. So either get it done through the air or you've got to be more physical up front.
And he's got enough for a first down. Now to see if they have enough time to snap it again here in the third. 1 more quarter to play, and it might be unlikely, but hey, it's college football. Comebacks happen. Final stands in the game, and we'll start with the first down. Back to throw, it's Beck. Starting to feel a little pressure. He is sacked way behind the line of scrimmage. Just a catastrophic play there. The Canes with a long way to go after the loss on the last play. Got it in the middle, it's Daniels. And they swarm him under.
And this defense has really done a good job containing this superstar quarterback. But now it's a big-time moment. In the fourth quarter, you know the ball's going to be in his hands. Got to get to him. Got to ruffle his feathers. Hit him a few times.
Oh, he's got some space. Now with a great opportunity as they pick up the first down. They've got it at the 40.
Down in the fourth quarter, you better have a dude at the quarterback spot. They do, and they're going to trust him, and he's going to have to continue to deliver like this, making plays down the field, protecting the football, but we know he has the ability.
At this point of the game in the fourth quarter, it is going to be tough for this offense to get some completions here because now, trailing by this much, the defense is expecting pass, and they're putting a whole bunch of extra DBs on the field to help them out in coverage.
Grabbed over the middle. It's Fletcher. He's close to the first down, but they're going to mark him just a little short.
This defense is going to have to be careful. Not only do they have to worry about this guy running the football, but they've got to keep their eye on him when he runs routes, too. He is a versatile back.
They'll try to move the chains on the ground. He did not make it a stone wall on third down.
Man, and you see those sticks, and you're like, dude, 3rd and short, I just got to fall forward and get the first down, Palmer, but the defense comes up big and gets the stop.
So on offense, don't overthink this one. 4th and inches, just line up something easy you know you can execute in your sleep and go keep this drive going.
Down in the 4th quarter, it's too late for empty possessions. They'll go for it on 4th down. Check his fillings after that lick, but he did get the first down. No hesitation, no trying to baby the ball in there. He just fired it complete.
4th down, no problem. I'm just going to rip this to my wide receiver. He believed in himself.
And he throws yet another interception. Does he know which color jerseys they're wearing?
And as a defensive lineman late in the game, man, when you know it's passed, you're pinning your ears back, trying to get to the quarterback, and DBs are trying to do this. Pad them stats, get the INT. Nice job by this D.
Pass the sticks, and he may get more. It's a running room. And it looked as if he might take that one all the way to the house. Just ran out of a little steam, and the defense finally got it. The Tigers come to the line after ripping off that huge gain on the ground, trying to keep it going. Quick pass on the fly motion. And that's a very productive first down play and bringing up 2nd and 3. Just a short pass to the tight end. All down, but they'll move the sticks as he picks up the first down.
Yeah, and tight ends aren't just line up and block guys anymore. These guys are athletes. You line them up all over the field. And nowadays, you can start to feature them more and more in the passing.
Off the play fake on first down to throw. And the defense gets home and makes a play at the 37-yard line.
Defense just simply not fooled by the play action. Oftentimes, an offense, you're hoping the run fix is going to slow down those pass rushers, but man, oh man, they had their ears pinned back.
It's 2nd and long now as this defense has some energy after that last sack. That's reeled in. It's Watkins. He's brought down quickly. Minimal gain there. Still a bit short of the first down.
And I think you're seeing these guys in every offense now. These littler guys, they're so quick, it's hard to get a hand on them. Run crisp routes. You can throw it short, you can throw it long, but they're just big-time playmakers. We've definitely seen an emphasis shift towards smaller wide receivers with some serious skill.
On the run, deep down the right side. Touchdown, Tiger! And they take it in for 6 more points.
And with that score, you start to get excited because you can feel the momentum. Starting off 2-0. I mean, you got to finish this one off, but there's a great chance you're going to. But this season has started just like you've wanted it to. Now just keep climbing. See how high we can get in these rankings.
And he's coming out of the end zone. Knocked down right at the 25, and I guess he breaks even, bringing it out of the end zone. The drive starts from their own 25-yard line. From the shotgun, the inside give. Pass the sticks and still on his feet. Works his way to the 41, and that is plenty to give him a first down.
I think it's just too little too late, David, at this point. That's a play that they could have used a lot earlier in this game, but because of miscues, they're down by a lot late, and I don't think they're going to have enough time to claw back into this.
Yeah, and I'm fine with you running that play if you want to do that. My goal now is with this lead, if you want to run it, so be it, but just don't give up the big plays. Let that clock continue to roll. Make him earn it all the way down the field.
He's looking deep. And it's incomplete after taking a shot on second down. They're staring at third. Trying to pick up a first down. Wants to throw. It's back. Makes the grab. It's Daniels. They'll get him down, but not before he crosses the 50. He's down to the 49. And the Canes have it with a 1st and 10. Looking to throw on 1st down. Catch in the middle, it's Daniels. They make the tackle at the 33, but he's ripped off 15 yards and picked up a 1st down. Passing game kept his drive moving. Let's see if they try it again. Offense changing the play. Wants to throw on 1st down. He'll take a shot. Throw to the end zone. It's picked off.
Well, man, we've seen explosive offensive firepower all game long, and here we are late in an obvious passing situation trying to get this thing close. The big INT, finally the defense makes a play, and David, it looks like they just closed the door on this one.
Well, and you know, Mr. Quarterback, defense wins championships. And how do you seal a game? The defense coming up with a big moment. Yes, obvious passing situation. You know they're going to throw it. The big INT, and that might seal their fate.
Halfway there on 1st down, it's 2nd and 5. Little touch pass to the receiver. Out across the 30 mark, down at the 35 after the 10-yard gain. They'll snap it on 1st down from the 35. Use the play fake, now to throw. Bring in the heat. Pulls it in, it's Durham. Great pickup as they'll keep this drive moving, and they've got it at the 45.
This quarterback now has over 400 yards passing. To do that, you have to have weapons catching the ball. You've seen that in this offense all game long.
He lost one down the sideline. Spreads it inside the 10. They're able to keep him out of the end zone. He'll be stopped at the 2 after the big play in the passing game. This is what you're looking for when you have the better team. Go out and show it. Don't fool around with them. Go out and play to a standard of excellence.
Just dominate. You know you're going to take care of business. You know you're going to win.